right. Thanks for joining us on our second Rock Church podcast episode. Mm-hmm. You know, being in the middle, this is the only part I don't like.
It's good for...
I don't know where to look.
At least you have equal mobility each ways.
I know.
I'm kind of stuck like this, so, you know. Anyway.
It distracted me last time when I was talking a little bit because I'd be looking over here and be like, I'm looking over here a lot. I'm going to go over here.
At least you got Sanaa to adjust you.
What do you mean?
Because just from like cranking your neck back and forth.
Yeah. No, I'm good. No, this week we wanted to process out a little bit of last weekend. We had our Ethos of Manhood 2026 men's conference.
Yep.
We had Michael Clary in town, which was really cool. And the overall premise of the weekend was loser theology.
Rejecting it.
Rejecting loser theology.
Which started off kind of promoting loser theology as we thought. He had a little trickery.
His video, his intro video?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that caught a lot of people off guard.
Yeah, I was ready to leave, but anyway.
No, first off, just to get started, I wanted to know your guys' thoughts on how, what you thought about it personally. And we can kind of take it from there. Who wants to go first?
I can go.
Go ahead.
Like I said, he opened up, with the video, which was promoting loser theology essentially. And it was kind of wild because it's funny how just seeing the opposition of what we've been working on so hard in the church, in the light of I thought that's where he was going. It was funny how quickly I was like, no, we don't do, no. It threw me off guard, but.
Because the video said what?
The video basically was promoting, what he was calling loser theology, which kind of is a little bit of obviously it's clickbait a little bit to say it that way, but at the end of the day, it's
like saying Christians are bad losers. Like you should be a good loser.
Yeah, it's like he basically was saying if you look throughout the Bible, Jesus is a loser.
Yeah.
And he took losing really well and he was good at it and he celebrated it. And so you should too.
Because he hung on a cross and suffered and yep.
Yeah. And so, then obviously Michael came up there and said all of that's BS anyway. So that was good. But for me personally, it was really cool to see somebody outside of our church come in. Obviously our network of people all believe and teach similar things to what we do. But to see him be in such alignment with where we're at and what we're doing inside of our men's ministry with Men of Valor. And so for me, the big takeaway was very just and honestly reassuring to our program and to our church and what we're doing. It was exciting to see him speak on a lot of those key things. And then personally for me, it just brought to light that I have, I don't want to say this, good work ethic. I'm willing to take risks. I'm bold in a lot of areas of my life. But then as you get specific in the other areas, I was like, man, I'm not good at it there. I'm good here, bad here. And oftentimes, unfortunately for me.
So what area are you a loser?
I was going to say, oftentimes, and I've worked through a lot of these things, but one of the areas that I was terrible at and am better at now was just being bold as a father and being bold as a husband in my home. There was a lot of years where I felt like when I look back, I just kind of set off to the side and let life happen. It's like, oh, well, if, this is happening to our kids, it just is what it is. And, and from a loser theology perspective, it's like, oh, I'll just pray about it. And God will do the work and it'll, it's like, that's not accurate. You know what I mean?
Do you have a specific, I think this might be helpful for those listening. Do you have a specific instance you can think of as a parent where something happened that you kind of took that approach instead of being bold?
I can tell you that I wish I could be more specific, and if I can think of something, I'll throw it out. But the changes came a lot more as we went into Christian education. And so previous to my kids going into being at Morning Star and then now at New City, I just looked at education specifically as it was what it was. Mm-hmm. The world's going to feed my kids these things and they're going to,
I turned out decent. So
yeah, it's they're going to go to a public school and it's not going to be great. It's going to be what it is. But that's okay because we'll pray about it. And that's okay.
So I see what you're saying on not being bold.
Yeah.
And not taking leadership.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And so for me now, we're very involved in the school and sometimes too much, but we're very involved in the school. We're very involved in how our kids are being brought up, what they're receiving from not only their church, but from their school and their friends and everything around them. And our goal is to obviously build disciples of our children. And so that doesn't rest in any area. And so that's not loser theology. That's saying like, I have dominion.
It's taking dominion and authority.
Yes, I have authority. I have control through the power that Christ has given me to have a say in all of this. And so I'd say that was probably one of the bigger areas that I've changed in the last, say, 10 years or whatever, right? But there's still areas I struggle in, I feel like. But that was one that's gotten a lot better.
And that reminds me, we didn't really break down for those listening, because I know a lot of women might watch this that weren't at the conference and don't know what rejecting loser theology looks like. What is the opposite, right? What's winning theology? And I think the whole premise of the weekend that Michael laid out was that we've been given the Spirit in Christ in power and authority. And the original creation mandate is to take dominion and subdue the earth. And that's still a mandate for Christians, which some people, a lot of Christians in a lot of different streams think like, oh, that was for Adam and Eve, but grace restores nature, right? And grace is restoring us back to our original intent, which is to have dominion and subdue the earth and turn it into heaven on earth. That is really our goal. And so, winning theology, if you will, if you want to call it that. He didn't use that term, but we're going to use that term. The opposite of loser theology is taking that approach. Like Brandon said, hey, we're going to lead our kids. We're not going to just he talked a lot about in the Reformed camp, there's this emphasis on piety and this emphasis on suffering. We do want to suffer well, and that's all true. We're going to suffer in this life, but that's not the goal. I'm not looking to lose, right? Yeah. I'm not looking for bad things to happen to me so I can be the humble Christian, and people get stuck in that. They really do in this camp.
And it's there's I don't know. There's a thing that I thought about as he was going through all this when you talk about humble. Humility isn't in opposition to power.
Yep.
And I feel
talked about that. Yeah.
It's there's this thing where oh well, I can't have power. I can't have dominion. I can't have control. I can't change anything because that's not humble, and that's not accurate at all.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Christ was extremely humble in the way he approached everybody throughout the Bible.
Yep.
But at the same time, he had full power over anything that he, and it's if we're to do the same thing, we have to take the same approach.
Yep. The famous Tim Keller quote, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. It's one of my favorite ones. Yeah. Right. And if you think of Christ, right, he knew he had ultimate authority.
Right.
At any moment, he could have called down a legion of angels. He had all the power, all the authority, but he chose not to, right? It was an act of power to say, you know what, I'm going to go to the cross.
Yep.
I liked it when he talked about that on Saturday as well.
Yeah.
And just the way he framed the whole thing, this is biblical. To the creation mandate, that this isn't some self-help book that somebody just came up with. He was using actual scripture to ground, this is why we do this.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I think my biggest takeaway is I personally am far too reactive instead of proactive, where I very similar, just kind of sit and see what happens and react accordingly and react like a Christian would. And I feel like a lot of our guys, a lot of just men in general, but especially in the Christian circles, just kind of sit back and we don't want to ruffle feathers. Yeah. And that is a huge area personally that I need to grow in, is being okay with ruffling a little feathers, because at the end of the day, what are we really fighting for?
Yeah.
And I don't know the quote off the top of my head, but a man who fights for nothing or believes in nothing, something along those lines. I'm like,
I think it's a country song, but go ahead.
Maybe, but I'm like, do I really believe enough? Yeah. If I see an issue, say in school or on a job site or even in my relationship with my wife.
Give me a specific one.
I think with Alyssa and I, if there's something that I see as far as, gosh, I'm going to say this, everybody thinks that I hate women because of how I preach. Everybody gives me a hard time about it. I make
and
one.
You're the gentlest guy with women, so I know that's not true.
I make one comment about dishes, and everybody's like, womanizer. But no, I just little things like that, talking about being okay with ruffling a little feathers because I want our house to be ordered well. Yeah. I know it does well for her to see me lead. She
So
would,
saying something bold to her is what you're saying.
not in like a, you need to do this, but hey, like, let's get this figured out. Let's work through it. Because otherwise what I do is I just kind of sit back, do whatever I need to in the house to kind of just keep the peace.
Yeah.
But then meanwhile, the same thing happens. And then I get frustrated, and it's just kind of this circle.
Well, I think the interesting thing about conflict in general, when we start talking about this stuff, is that there's a weird assumption that like less conflict is better, or less conflict equals peace, less conflict equals a positive outcome. And here we sit in the middle of this life that we're trying to lead as Christians, as men who are leading homes, who are leading churches, leading communities. And on one side, we have the world who is imposing negativity, who's imposing hurt, sin, hatred, all these things on one side. And then we have the power of Christ on the other that we're trying to take on and use and build with. Like, there is going to be conflict. There's sin in the world. There's a power in Jesus that we're trying to hold on to and use. And then there's going to be conflict, and even in your home.
Right.
And I think that's a thing where people get a little confused. It's like, oh, me and my wife, we actually never fight. We're great. It's like, really? Like, then you're not fighting against anything outside of your home if you're not fighting inside of your home a little bit, in my opinion.
Yep.
And so, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's funny, in the 5 dysfunctions of a team, they talk about like one of the pillars in their pyramid of a healthy team is conflict.
Yeah.
Because if you're ever going to try to get better at anything, right? There's weakness somewhere. It's got to be confronted and talked about, and that's going to bring conflict. Any good team has healthy conflict. No, but I guess what I took from the weekend, for me personally, the thing that stuck out to me the most was he talked about that men that do things often sin more. You remember that part?
Yeah, I do.
And that hit me really hard because I've always felt that way personally. Because I've been a man that, I'm not scared to start things, right? Or do stuff. But I've always been like, man, I'm like character-wise not as good as that guy. Like, look at Keith McAlpine.
Right.
I'm like, I am not as holy as Keith McAlpine. The guy just like, he walks in gentleness and peace and grace, and he's so righteous in my eyes. You know what I mean? And he really is a great man of God.
Absolutely.
But I think what happens with me is because I'm a guy that pushes the envelope, and I'm going to make big changes, and I'm going to challenge this person, and I'm going to there's a lot of opportunity for me to get in the flesh with someone or say too much in a conversation, and so I walk around with this perpetual feeling of I'm not good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it does make sense. And I can't remember the examples he used. I think, I can't remember. He used some biblical examples, and I wish I could remember them, but certain characters in the Bible that basically ran into the same issues.
Yeah.
And David might have been one of them, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally see that as and again, there's a lot of ways to live this life, and there's a lot of ways to be a man of God and be a bold man of God. But when you're given the gifts of leadership and the gifts that do draw conflict, it's like you're going to find yourself in areas where you're battling your flesh.
Well, there's a lot more temptation. There's a lot more
Correct.
situations that come up that you're just going to have to, you're going to be battled with. And Michael and I were talking at lunch during the conference about how often the men that don't do a lot, are seemingly more righteous.
Yeah.
Because they don't put themselves in many situations. But what he also talked about was the sin of omission. Right? Sins that what are you not doing? Because people don't judge those because they don't see those.
Right.
Right? You're not leading your home, but you're nice and quiet and you're peaceful.
Yep.
But you're not saying anything, that might bring conflict.
Right. You're not growing.
Right. You're not doing anything. So there's a sin of omission that happens.
Yep. It's funny, your dad and I were in the back kind of during that part talking about that a little bit, and it's the same exact thing we were just talking about, how, not that you can categorize these sins one way or another, but like scale them or grade them, but it's like, what's worse, not doing anything at all or trying and failing? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. And Michael brought that up, is like, God prepared good works for us to walk in. And we don't talk about works a lot. And he mentioned, because it's like more of a Catholic thing.
I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Just that it does happen from just trying.
Yeah.
But trying the right things, with God in line with that being the ultimate goal, to
Yep.
restore something.
Yep.
Well,
But yeah, the sin of just the sins of omission. I think about myself, how after working on construction or something, you get home and like, I don't want to do anything.
Yep.
And so just sit there, kind of half present, half just kind of getting through the night to put Lainey to bed, and then I can just completely check out. Mm-hmm. And so like, what more productive things, not like go build a swing set, but even
Yep.
just pouring into my family.
Yeah. Yeah. And what pumped me up about this whole weekend was that Michael did a great job for the men in this church that I care about, right? Discipling our men. Because a lot of people think about, all right, what are the good works that I need to do? Well, I need to like pray for people, or it's something to do with ministry. Mm-hmm. Well, man, you got a ministry at your home. You have a family, right? You have a job. There's so many different areas, and he talked about all of them.
Yeah.
And sometimes the good works is, man, I'm going to work my butt off and climb the ladder.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm going to become a more useful person on the job site. I'm going to become the leader in my business. I'm going to become the husband that God's called me to be. Like, there's so many areas that they're not ministry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They are ministry. And so I think, I hope our men, if anything else they got from this weekend, like, hey, I need to level up. Stop being scared to advance. Mm-hmm. Sorry to go off on a tangent, but another thing, I think about our men when we're listening to this stuff and processing it. And what I see, and I want to know what you guys see in our men as well, and how this can help some of them. I see a lot of men that get stuck in a job, and their job is nothing more than, it's a paycheck, so I have enough money to live my life. Mm-hmm. Luckily, I was raised by the grace of God or something. I was raised by a dad that I've never worked that way.
Yeah.
I get up out of bed and I'm building something bigger. Whether it was gyms,
Yep.
whether it was like, we were always, what's the next gym? What's the next, like, I'm building my own empire,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I have a vision and I have something that gets me out of bed in the morning. And some men, man, they need that.
Yeah.
And their empire might be like, I'm going to climb the ladder so I can do better for my family, so I can, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Provide better, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think that has to be our outlook. God created us to take dominion that way with authority.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dallas Willard had a quote, I'm pretty certain it was him, that basically was saying God is more concerned with who you're becoming than what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And I think that thought process, Michael talked about that in general, not using that quote, but basically, like, whatever it is you're doing, you should be the best version of that possible inside of that job. If you're a mechanic, you should be the best mechanic possible. Yep. Because you have the power of Christ in you. You have, the Holy Spirit guiding you through the day. Like, you have strong men of God around you to help guide and coach you as you, basically try to navigate the workplace and the conflict and things that are in it. Like, we have, as Christians, the most tools,
Yep.
hands down. And so that quote, and I send that quote out to my Men of Valor group or the version of it regularly, because, a lot of guys get stuck on, like you're saying, yeah, I just have this job and it feels dead end right now, and da-da-da-da. And it's like, it's probably not forever, and it's here for a time. But if you focus on who you're becoming throughout that job, and seeing this, the suffering that we talk about that's sometimes inevitable, just sometimes it's demeaning to do the things you're doing in work, and you don't want to do them. But like, that can be humbling, and that can be character building, and God can use all of those things to make you a stronger Christian or a stronger man, preparing you for not only your family life, your home, but another opportunity in the workplace. So as I see that in our community inside of Men of Valor, that's for some reason, I think that's the simplest and the most direct quote to like your question for me.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah. I said it yesterday from the pulpit. The one thing that he said that just has rocked me, and I think it speaks to our men and just men in general, but don't let perfect be the enemy of trying. Because I think about in your job, well, if I'm not the perfect guy, we always judge. Like, even like compare ourselves to Keith or something. Well, or think about a guy above you at your job. Well, man, he's got it all figured out. Like, I can't measure up to him, so I'm just going to kind of sit back. Well, that guy probably got there by failing a bunch.
Yep.
And trying and learning and growing.
Yep.
And I think even when, I know we're talking about jobs and stuff like that, but family, ministry, how many guys don't want to go to KC because they don't want to share anything. They don't want to be exposed for sin or have to be vulnerable or be challenged. And it's easier just to kind of sit back, or on a Sunday, guys just come in and they just kind of say good morning. They don't really want to be participants because I don't know theology. Well, I didn't know a lot, and I still don't know a lot. And I think as we don't let the fear of being perfect be the enemy of trying.
I loved the failure thing that he talked about.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, I look back over and not that I've done this perfect, but I've done okay at failing. I've failed a lot. Like the amount of logos that I've created, right? Of different things that I was gonna start, or the amount of blogs I've started, the amount of, I have a Substack that I've like, I'm gonna I'm just, you know what I mean? Fail. But consequently, I do stuff. You know, and I would love to see more men just do stuff.
He a couple things he said in that light that were kind of cool is one of them. He's like, man, a lot of you guys haven't even failed enough to do anything of substance. Like, you haven't put yourself out there enough to do anything of substance because you haven't experienced what failure is and what you can learn from failure. And that's where so much learning is to be had. The other thing that I thought was really cool was, and I cannot remember exactly the story, but he was talking about the master and giving out money and asking him to invest and all that, right? And he kept saying this quote over and over, talking about how the master had budgeted for your failure and comparing that to God's grace and saying, like, you do realize that God expects you to fail in certain areas. It's part of trying. It's part of growth. It's part of character building. And so, like, don't have this misconception that, like, oh no, if I try a new blog and I fail, God's going to be bummed out. It's like he's budgeted the grace for you to fail. And I thought that was a really cool way to look at it.
It really was,
So what else do you guys think in terms of like the men in our church? Have you processed through that at all? Like, what do you think was important for them to hear?
I mean, what's nice is he says a lot of the same stuff that we do. So it's nice to have somebody from an outside voice and being like, oh, it's just not Josiah talking about it. But I think really go out and get into your communities. Like we focus so much on the home because you're pastoring the guys. And so we focus so much emphasis on the home, where I loved you have a problem with the school, get on the school board. Go do it. Like if you have an issue, like go
run for local office. Where are those guys at?
I love that. We complain about politicians all the time. And I get it. It's a cesspool once you get into it. But what does it look like if a couple guys over the long term go in and start making changes? And so there's guys that probably within our church that have skill sets like that, that would love to do it, love politics, but don't want to be in it because it's just, we're going to sit back. So I think really if you see a problem, like don't wait for somebody else to do it. Go fix it. Go fail at it, but learn from it and at least attempt it.
Trying to think of what the real specific thing is, but
if you want to keep thinking, I have one.
Go.
So the one that really, and I was thinking, why do I think this? Like, why did this one stick out so much to me when I think about our men? And it might be because, like, as a pastor, you often do ministry the most with the people that need the most ministry.
Touche.
And so when he talked about that, there's no room for victimhood and you know what I mean? When rejecting loser theology, man, victimhood is a way bigger deal than people realize. And I think as a pastor, you see it the most. People will give you 10 reasons in a poem on why they can't do 1,000 things. Can't do this, can't do that because this happened to me. I can't do this because of this, because of that, because of you know what I'm saying? And there's just, when you're walking with the Spirit of God on the inside of you, there is no room for being a victim. The power of Christ dwells in you. The power of Christ, the power of the creator of the universe dwells in you. To say that I can't do anything because something happened to me in the past, or, I mean, I loved how Michael brought up that he was abused by a stepfather. Terrible upbringing. And the guy is now getting on a global stage. His ministry just kind of erupted in the last 3 years. He was just pastoring a little church. Started posting stuff online and he started getting a following. Now he's invited to conferences everywhere, like just boom. Right? But if you're a victim, right? I can't because this, I can't because that. And I don't care where you're at in life. I love what he said. It doesn't help anyone.
No.
Agreed.
I don't care if you were raised in a gutter and you had the worst upbringing ever. I get it. That's hard. You have something to overcome. You really do. But by the power of God, I believe you can overcome it. And just sitting and wallowing in victimhood does nothing good for anyone.
Yeah.
It's just a spiral.
It is. And
Well,
it's prevalent in our culture too.
But and to your point, as far as it does nothing good for anyone, and this is kind of going to lead into what I would like to focus on is you're part of the body of Christ. When you walk in this church, when you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior and you become a member, you are part of the body. And we stress that over and over again. But if you're taking the victimhood approach as part of the body, I'm not trying to like put this on you, but at the same time, like you're infiltrating like the body of Christ with victimhood and like a negative mindset and we can't do anything, and you're diminishing the power of the body as a whole. And so what I would like to see, and I think it's highly overlooked, and we're trying, obviously with Men of Valor and the table groups and building communities inside of the church, but we have a very resourceful church.
Yeah.
We have a lot of talented men in a lot of areas. We have men that have been in places that other men have been and walked through it and learned from it. I just don't think that we use our resources and the body of Christ as men in the church enough.
Yep.
I think that there's a business owner that it's done what you're trying to do that you could have a conversation with, and a godly man who's made maybe mistakes in how he did it, and you can learn from his mistakes. My point is there's somebody somewhere inside of our church that can help everybody.
100%.
And to have a victimhood mentality, to your point, it does a bunch of things. It takes the opportunity away from another man who could mentor you and grow from it, when that would just be such an easy bridge to cross. And on the flip side of it, like at some point as you grow, you then can mentor people through the mess that you've been through. So it's like that's my biggest encouragement, was to use the resources, use them in around you, be a part of the body, whether it's receiving or giving, either way, but be a part of it.
Yep. The other one that he brought up, you just reminded me talking, that 1 million people in our church came into my mind when he said it, was that men of God with the power of the Spirit who've been called to authority and dominion and subduing the earth have to be risk takers. That one, I was like, man, 10 guys came into my mind who are just comfortable.
Yeah.
And they're so scared of doing something risky, so scared of making the job move, right? So scared of trying to go to the next level because of what might happen. And so consequently, they get stuck in a job they don't really want to work. They don't enjoy. They're not building it. It pays the bills, right? But they're stuck because they're not risk takers.
Yeah. No, it's wild. It's an interesting spin on that. So, and this will be relevant to you as far as the youth. I think we grow up, especially apart from a church like ours, if we're either in a church or it's not in church, with the, I guess, infiltration of being risk adverse. Like, it's like as you grow up, you're like, oh, well, don't do that, you might fail. Don't do this, you might fail. Go play that sport, you're good at it, and then you'll win.
Everything you can to be as comfortable as possible.
Yeah, and I think that's like, just thinking about like our youth and our sons and as we raise them, like, and even my son's super risk adverse in a lot of areas, and that's probably my fault somehow, some way. But it's like, man, what an opportunity we have with the young men growing up in our church to get them to be willing to take risk at a young age. Because if you're brought up that way and you're just like, well, this is just what we do. We try stuff, we fail, we adjust, and we move forward. Like I just don't think that our society builds that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Michael was talking about it again at lunch in between sessions, and he's like, my personality is I'm a risk taker.
Yeah.
Because I get bored.
Fair.
And I think a lot of men are literally bored to death.
Yeah.
Not building anything meaningful, not building anything of substance, whether it be in their career, in ministry, in life, because they just don't want to take any risks.
Yeah.
They get trapped in the comfort bubble. And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think it was maybe either last year or the year before at our men's conference out in Geneseo, one of the lessons was about dreaming, having a dream, having a vision. And I think that's where the crux of it is.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable, why take a risk?
Yep.
If you don't have a dream or a vision for your life, for your family's life, if you're single, career-wise in the future, then just kind of stick with it until whatever happens. If you get the promotion, great. If you get the girl, great, but not like even going out and asking out a girl. Like he talked about that. Like the girl's not just going to come up to you and ask you out. But if you have a vision, if you have a dream, like I want, and confidence goes a long way with it. And so I think a big part of it is dreaming.
Yeah.
And what are we, like we're working on the life mission thing. It's a great thing to have, to look at each day, and how can I do just one thing to build towards this?
Yep. It's funny because I think about you with risk taking.
Oh, I know.
Well, yeah, you were there too. No, and I'm not even talking about the ones you should take, and we can get into that too. But when I met you, right? When I met you, and you get with Alyssa, and you guys are engaged, and you could get stuck in the bubble of the typical American. That's like, Alyssa has a teaching job.
Oh,
I have a job.
You're going a better way than I thought.
It's more comfortable if Liz just works.
Oh, yeah.
I work, put the kid in childcare, right? But it takes risk as a man taking dominion and authority to say, no, babe, like you're staying home.
Yep.
Babe, you're going to raise the kids because we believe that raising our kids in the fear and admonition of the Lord produces fruit and they will not depart from it. That's the promise from Scripture. And it's a risk. But look now, like you've got a 10-month, 11-month-old baby. I don't know how.
She's 10 and a half, and I can't imagine doing it the other way.
But that's a small example of taking a small risk, trusting God, taking dominion.
And you know what's been cool is I look at it, and there have been, because, I mean, we're not just like living a cush lifestyle, but we're also not pinching pennies. But what has happened, there's been weird instances where God has come through, and when we've needed it, we've gotten it. Like there was something that happened with our taxes, with our home, and all of a sudden we got a check shortly after we moved in for like $2,000. Wow. No idea why. It was just something that got lost in the translation that they owed us. And there's been little things like that. I get a random call on a job, and now we're slammed with work, and just even when work gets slow, we trust, and because God's gonna come through, and now I look back on it, I'm so glad we made that decision right away, just to plan on it, not toy with the idea. I mean, you advocated and pushed us. I'm not gonna say pressured.
Probably a little bit.
No, maybe a little.
I mean, but no, it's hard when you haven't done it. It was terrifying. And now I look back on the other side of it, and I'm the biggest advocate for it. I understand that some people, like financially, it's not doable. And there's grace to be given in that. But at the same time, I would say, well, fight for a way to make that happen.
Well, it's been really cool to see in our church the amount of men and couples and women that have taken that risk and said, you know what? And I don't know, I couldn't tell you one single woman or man in our church that's done it and been like, oh, I really regret that decision. I really miss the extra money. I really wish that my kids would be in childcare right now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But also I look at your future and I know there's risks coming downstream from you because you love your job, the stuff that you do, but you said many times, I don't want to be doing this when I'm 50 years old.
No.
Right? And so
it's not good on the joints.
Right.
Well, not even that. As much as I love it, I'm drawn to, I want to be here full time. I want to be on the battlefield of ministry the whole time. And so
see his eyes again.
Because I get excited. I know. I'm like the emotional. Alyssa and I were joking. She's like, you're always moving your hands. I'm like, people probably think I'm casting spells. But no, I think about it, and it is scary. But I also feel like God is moving in my heart where that would have never thought of that. And now I think about what that could look like, and I get super excited. I love my job. I love construction.
You can always do that.
But and it's a means to an end at the end of the day. I mean, I think about, I guess, our people here. I want to be able to reach our people and be able to meet and spend more time with them and get to know them, and that's what gets me excited. Tiling's fun. But that really gets me excited.
But to process out like how that works, right, practically, is I think the risks aren't just like, hey, I'm quitting my job and I'm joining the ministry. It's, hey, how do I think here about taking dominion in a way and advancing, whether that be through some other avenue to give me the financial means that I can spend more time on ministry. You know what I mean? Like, that's a practical,
Well,
I
and
just
like-
want to give them an example.
Well, and like you said earlier, and like I think I mentioned this originally, and you kind of piggybacked off it. It's like there's the side of it that's like, oh, I'm just going to let life happen, and then when the opportunity presents itself, maybe I'll do it, right? And I think that that's one way to do it, and I think that's often what typically we do, is we go, oh, well, God will work it out, and it's like, well, He'll work it out, but He's also giving you the tools and the power to take dominion over your life and take control of it and say. Now, not to say you want to veer away from His plan or like go against anything biblically, but at the same time, in those situations, it's like He's giving you tools to work in the direction of and to actually like make changes to line up with. But
It's one of the few things that I've actually said yes to, that I've wanted to go and actually grab, that I didn't. I felt, we talked about it at KC actually. Kim had a question about, you felt God nudge you. With just like a tender word. And I remember when you asked, you were looking for somebody between Cam or I to take over Try.
Yeah.
And I wanted it so bad, but I've never been a like go and take it kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I hope Cam, and Cam's great. I love working with him. It's awesome. But I wanted him to just bow out.
So you didn't have to be the guy that,
yeah. And it was one of the few times where I'm like, no, I actually want this. And I said it, and it consequently was like jet fuel and just so much passion and growth and everything from that. And I look at it, that's just one small like leap of faith where I still don't feel qualified to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And from that time, it just becomes such a passion, such a training ground, and a foundation of my growth in Jesus.
See, that's awesome. I had a person recently, just 2 days ago, a lady in our church who basically, she was nervous about saying it to me, but she walked up to me and basically said, I want to work at the church. This is what I want to do. I've been petrified to say this, but I feel called to it. And she is gifted in it. And it actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it took, I could see it took a ton of courage for her to come and say it. And I was like, I don't think people understand, like, as a boss, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to like go look, hey, anyone out there that would please do this? It's like, hey, I'm the guy.
Right.
Like,
right.
okay, that's the guy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's the gal.
Jen would probably kill for like 2 parents to do that on Sundays.
Dude, any leader would, right?
Right.
No, but I think it's a great example.
Yeah. Just be bold and go grab what you want.
Take dominion.
Yeah.
The power of Christ in you. You've called the good works that have been prepared beforehand, right? You're going to fail fast, keep moving forward. You're going to learn the most from your failure.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I have a quick kind of a turn on this a little bit that we were talking about earlier. We were talking about how we, let's say how you said it earlier, but being at our best when we're chasing after something and we're excited about something and we're working for the glory of God and we're actually like pursuing something, right? So on the flip side of that, kind of talking to like kind of the idle hands issue. When you have men that basically just fall into the rut and they go to their 9 to 5 and they don't take dominion over anything, I believe personally that we were, given this courageous kind of warrior spirit to use, and however you want to say it.
Yep.
And I think I've seen a lot of instances where guys who fall into the rut, they do their 9 to 5, they go home, they keep quiet because their wife kind of runs the show, and they just fall into this like position, right? Where they're scared to do anything. Those guys often, because they don't have any risk taking, any warrior, tendencies to like let out in their life, where they're chasing a dream or starting a business or
building something,
anything, right? I think that they become the most self-destructive.
Yeah.
And I think that we have guys in our church that probably are stuck in a rut of some sort with, having an issue with, maybe addiction, having whether it be alcohol, porn, whatever the thing is, or just, having depression or like there's a lot of stuff that comes from not pursuing kind of the life or the position that Christ has given you. You're a Christian, you've been saved, you've been given all the tools we've all been given, but you're unwilling to do that. I mean, what are your guys' takes on kind of how to pull people out of that a little bit? Like, just give me some thoughts on that.
I got some thoughts. I think personally, you can't be afraid of being the dumbest person in the room when it comes to it, because I think of what gets me excited, being around guys who are doing something.
For sure.
But if I want to hang out with you, but I feel inferior and therefore I don't want to do it. I think that's a huge hindrance where I have to be qualified before I can go do it. Like where if our guys, you're painting this picture of you go to work and then you go home and all that. I think we need community, like cell group, but not even cell groups, just like go talk to guys and build each other up. And like, hey, like he talked about it. Hey, I got an idea. I want to make some investments. Take a look at it. Something super practical. But when you go to your brothers, there's a lot of power in that. And we can speak truth to each other. We can get one another excited. I think you go on like a golf trip. Everybody's like, we're going to do that again next year. And then you don't because you let life take over. But what does it look like if you pour into that kind of fun, playful, dreamer aspect of boyhood, really? We become so bogged down with being the provider as a man that we don't go dream.
No, I think that to your point or the question that you asked, I think it starts with having a dream. I don't know what it is. It could be something small right now. It could be I want to advance in my career. I feel a call to some type of ministry. I want to start something. And you have to start plotting. You have to start doing something every day. You have to start being intentional with your downtime. You work a 9 to 5, you come home. If you just veg out and you're building no dream, number one, it's really boring. You know what I mean? If you're 9 to 5, get my paycheck, go home, lay on the couch, that is really boring. But people would be amazed if they would just plod and chip away at whatever their dream is. And sometimes it takes learning. Hey, I need to sit down with a book. I need to start watching some YouTube, some podcasts, start chipping away consistently, plodding over time. They become a more valuable person. You know what I mean? They start building something. You know, I've seen you do it with ministry, right? You had a little inkling, a little itch. Now you start reading books, you start watching videos, you start doing the thing. And like you do that for 5 to 10 years and you breed a completely different person.
Absolutely. Yeah, we often don't see that growth. It's long
and slow. Time. Doug Wilson says it takes 10 years to breed a biblical man.
All right, well, I'm getting there. I'm like 5 years in.
Right, but if you think about it, like, right?
Absolutely.
Like it's kind of true.
Absolutely.
So with that said, I think one of the things that's a real specific one that we could talk about, and it's clearly something we as a church are passionate about. We've already touched on it a little bit. Practically speaking, if there's some people out there listening to this in our church or whatever, that I'm going to go with one example that I feel like we see a lot. We touched on it earlier about having a guy that doesn't lead his home well at this point. And I think that as you learn through the church, through kind of the things we teach that you don't, there's this kind of like, there's this ignorance is bliss at the beginning, right? Where maybe you just don't understand that. You're like, I just do what the average American does. I shut my mouth, I let my wife run the show, and happy wife, happy life. And then all of a sudden you start to hear these teachings and you start to hear this stuff where it's like, I'm supposed to be in control of my home. I'm supposed to because he said, he talked about that this weekend about that's the one spot you've been given control, whether you take it or not. And so what are some practical steps of like how to like start to take dominion over your home? Like obviously like leading your wife and your family, but like I think that's a big hurdle to cross for some men. And it's going to be confrontational likely to a degree. Not always. Yeah.
I think that if you're coming from a very poor job and not leading much, it's going to be an awkward transition. Like you just said, it's going to be brutal at first. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to be tense. But you don't start with big authority statements.
Correct.
You don't start with like, I'm in control now.
Kick down the door when you get home.
Right.
Babe.
Do the dishes. Like that's not really what it's about,
Correct.
Right? I think the best thing a man could do to begin would be fight to break down the barrier of awkwardness about you being a spiritual being. Because it's awkward for men for whatever reason at first to be seen in the living room reading a Bible, to pray, to be the one to be like, hey, I want to pray with the family. Those are giant leaps for some men because it's like, whoa. But I would, number one, if you can first remove that barrier and become that man, it breaks down all the walls and now you have a place to grow from. You know what I mean? Your wife will, number one, if she's a Christian, she will immediately respect you more. It's like overnight respect.
Yeah.
It is so powerful to what it does to a woman, and we've seen
Absolutely.
it so many times.
Yep.
I would argue too, though, even for the non-Christian wife, like if you're in it over
Yep.
time, leading by example, like that's gonna trickle over.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So that would be my biggest one, number
Yep.
one. It wouldn't start with authority statements. It wouldn't start like, I'm going to be more bossy now.
Right.
That's not what it's about. It's about, hey, why don't you establish yourself as a spiritual lead first?
Mm-hmm.
You know, then we'll talk about the areas as a man that you see that maybe you don't like the trajectory your family's going in. You can speak into those, but we don't start with, you're not the big bossy guy now.
Kind of leading yourself
Right.
first and foremost
Yeah.
before you try to
Well,
lead
and
the
even
family.
and even little things like if you become, because this is probably true. I'm making an assumption here, but the guy we've painted the picture of, he's probably the last one out the door to go to church in the morning.
Yep.
He's probably the last one. You know what I mean? Like if you start to do these little things that you're talking about, even saying like, hey, let's leave a little early for church tomorrow. We can get there for prayer. Like let's like just making small adjustments and moves that like allow you to lead the scenario and to lead that situation, as opposed to being like the one that follows your wife around that's
Yep.
doing it. So,
Yep.
and then on the same time, like I think that has to come first, and I think biblically it does come first. But then if you do have kids and a family at home, like that becomes the next piece of the puzzle. Is like if you start to gain that respect from your wife and that leadership role, it's like then starting to lead your kids
Yep.
in that area. And then to me, you know, one of the things that probably, you know, excites my wife the most is that when she does see me leading the kids as well.
Yep.
And so there's a whole, it all kind of comes together. But
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, being married for just over 2 years, it's not like I've had a lot of opportunity, but to speak to the younger guys, I would say be proactive early on and don't let barriers get built up. Like
Yep.
whatever dynamic you want, fight for it early. It's hard to, once that
get it
those
later.
rhythms have been established, it's going to to be hard.
Well, relationship dynamics,
Yeah.
right? Like they get established and they're hard to break down and
Yeah.
change them.
Right, absolutely.
I gave that advice earlier a couple weeks ago to a guy in the church that was kind of starting to see somebody, and they were keeping it a little bit off script and a little bit as far as like not in the public eye and all this. And I said, man, I'll caution you on one thing. If you can start your relationship in the openness of the church, where you're getting feedback from other couples and we've talked about before, like how we have a benefit in our friend group of being able to, like, if we're sitting around, like you can be like, Alyssa, what's wrong with you? And like Ryan doesn't have to say it. You know what I mean? Like it's very open and the conversations are out in the open, and they're seen and known and able to be corrected and loved on. And I think that's a big piece of it.
It's like guardrails. It's like you have something keeping your marriage healthy and safe in the context of a community. And that doesn't mean every issue or all things. There's a private relationship.
Yeah.
But it does mean letting others speak into your life, like you said.
Yep. Yeah. I think a relationship done in private like that is it's just scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's you versus her, like, right? In a lot of scenarios. And it's like, that's just not healthy.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was a lot.
I feel like we got some stuff out.
It was great.
So don't be a loser.
And start rejecting it. I think it's not even being a loser, more so as pushing against loser theology.
Yeah.
Which all of us battle it. And we talked about that.
Absolutely.
I have areas of my life. And
Yep.
so
I think when you acknowledge that, when you say that you don't have it, then you're like,
Yeah.
that should be a
You sure about
problem.
that? You sure about
telltale
that?
sign.
Right.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Please, if you could subscribe to our channel, like our videos, share our videos. I didn't see them all over Facebook last week. What the heck? Come on, church.
They're just making sure we can hold it down. And
I know, right? Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.